panel finding in a 2-1 decision, plaintiffs failed to show that racial gerrymandering occurred, adding, we conclude that there was no basis for issuing a preliminary injunction. California Governor Gavin Newsom saying Republicans' weak attempt to silence voters failed, reiterating Prop 50 is a response to Republicans redrawing maps in their favor in Texas. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
An unemployment update is just out. First-time claims dropped slightly last week, down to 198,000. The number of people continuing to collect jobless benefits also dropped a bit, down to 1.88 million. Wall Street stock futures are mixed out of the opening bell this hour. They're down a little for the Dow, up more than 200 points for the NASDAQ. I'm Dave Anthony, and this is Fox News.
There we go.
This is Viewpoint, a presentation of the News and Public Affairs Department of AM 1490 WHPB. We welcome your input on the issues of the day. You can contact us on the Viewpoint line by calling 875-1490. The opinions expressed by our callers and guests do not necessarily reflect those of the management and staff of AM 1490 WHPB. And now, here's today's Viewpoint.
And good morning and welcome into the Thursday morning Viewpoint. For this Thursday morning, January the 15th, 2026, I'm your host, Randy Williams. Who is this coming in? Right. Oh, that sounds like Mike Reynolds, huh? A little early there, huh? How are you this morning on this cold Thursday morning? And of course, this is the actual birth date for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. His birth date, January 15th, 1929. I don't know why I can remember his birthday. You know, there's a few birth dates, even family members. I don't remember all my family member birth dates, but there are some birth dates that I do remember, including my own, huh? But his is one of those birth dates that I do remember, probably because it's such a historic, or he's such a historic figure. And I am a self-described student of history. And that being said, what I want to make sure that we do this morning is pick back up where I left off on yesterday. Now, I had scheduled some guests to come in this morning. They have not arrived, and it's always possible, you know, because it was scheduled a good little while ago. It's possible that they did not remember. That happens from time to time as well. But if so, we will reschedule and have them come in another time to bring us up to date on what is happening with city government. And of course, that would be from the city council. If you recall, well, I guess it's been a couple of years now. At one point, I was going down to the council meetings and recording the full council meeting, but it got to the point of where you can only hear half of it, only understand half of the council people. Half would be on the microphone and half wouldn't. So you're talking approximately maybe an hour where you really couldn't understand what was being said. And so that ended up being a waste of my time and a waste of time for those who were trying to listen, trying to strain to listen. So now we're going to see if we can find some kind of a system where the community citizens of Selma can be kept abreast of what is happening with the city council.
And issue the charge today. So as we kick off the
Councilwoman
King Holiday
Thomas has expressed an interest to do that. Also, the last time I saw Mayor Moss, he also is working on putting together some sort of a schedule where he'll be coming in on a regular basis to bring the citizens up to date on what he's doing. So all of these things are in the works. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do is pick back up where I left off yesterday. This is the Martin Luther King Jr. Holiday weekend. Today is his actual birth date. And his niece, Dr. Bernice King, gave a message. And at this point, now I'm going to play that. Let's listen to what she has to say. And I've got my computer fixed. So, anyway, and so you'll also be able to watch it on our YouTube channel, 334-875-1490 and 1492, or you can join us live on our live stream on the selmapostherald.com YouTube channel.
My role is to set the tone and issue the charge today. So as we kick off the King Holiday observances, I stand before you with a mandate, a moral charge, a national and global summons, because the hour is too dangerous, the divisions too deep, the despair too widespread for anything less. I summon all of us not as citizens of divided nations, but as members of one endangered human family standing at the crossroads of consequence. As our nation enters another year marked by social strain, economic uncertainty, global conflict, and moral confusion, the 2026 King Holiday observance is more critical than ever because we are living in a time when violence, displacement, and dehumanization are being normalized. People across this nation feel the weight of division, the erosion of trust, and the fear that our shared future is slipping away. In that context, our 2026 theme, Mission Possible 2, Building Community, Uniting a Nation the Nonviolent Way, is not just timely, it is essential. We are living in a world trembling under the weight of conflict, corruption, climate crises, economic exploitation, inhumanity, injustice, and political extremism. We are watching democracies fracture, truth erode, and compassion evaporate. We're witnessing leaders who weaponize fear, systems that normalize inequality, and societies who refuse to see the sacredness in every human life. These are not isolated events. They're signals that the soul of humanity is under siege. Yesterday's heartbreaking and unacceptable shooting in Minneapolis further illuminates the point. It reminds us that when policies are driven by force and fear, human dignity is always the first casualty. This is why the work of the King Center and our King Holiday programs matter deeply now. We are not just remembering history, we're training people to practice nonviolence as a way of life and to transform the conditions that allow violence to thrive. Across the nation and the world, people are anxious. People are weary. People are retreating into silos, into tribes, into fear, into echo chambers, because despair has convinced them that hope is naive and community is impossible. Across the world, we see leaders crossing moral and human boundaries in pursuit of power, resources, and control. We watch in dangerous silence with eyes wide open the genocidal violence from Gaza to Sudan to Congo. And here at home, we are experiencing the separation and dehumanization of people who are simply seeking safety and dignity. We see efforts to dismantle tools like DEI that were designed to correct injustice, and expand opportunity for Black and marginalized communities. But hear me clearly. This is not the hour to shrink. This is the hour to rise. The theme Mission Possible is not a slogan, it is a global alarm, a moral siren, a call to every conscience unwilling to surrender humanity's future to hatred, fear, violence, or despair. My father warned us, we must learn to live together as brothers, or together we will be forced to perish as fools. His words were not poetic, they were prophetic. And today, as inequality grows, families struggle to survive, and tensions rise, that warning echoes with renewed urgency. We must choose division or community, fear or courage, chaos or nonviolence. And I say to you today, with the full weight of my father's and mother's legacy, that Mission Possible is a lifeline. It's not optional. It is mandatory. It reminds us that even in the darkest hour, we are not powerless. The challenges we face cannot be solved in silos, by scapegoating, by canceling, or retreating into hardened camps. They demand a renewed commitment to justice, empathy, shared responsibility, and our common humanity, which is the beloved community. My father also said on many occasions that we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. That means our survival, our flourishing, our future, all are collective. When any community is pushed down, the whole nation sinks. So what does building community and uniting the nation the nonviolent way truly require? It requires truth-telling, even when the truth is uncomfortable. It requires courage, especially when fear is fashionable. It requires listening, not to respond, but to understand. It requires accountability, not for punishment, but for transformation. And above all, it requires love, not sentimentality, but a fierce, disciplined commitment to the well-being of all people. Nonviolence, as my father taught, is not passive or weak, as some believe. It is a power harnessed by love, strength disciplined by conscience, and truth armed with courage. It is justice organized with strategy. It is the only force strong enough to break the cycles of violence. 6.5, as we teach, is about equipping people to confront injustice without creating new oppressors or becoming what we oppose. It is a love-centered way of thinking, speaking, acting, and engaging that leads to personal, cultural, and societal transformation. And we need that force again, not tomorrow, but now. So I call on every activist, every leader, policymaker, artist, entertainer, educator, media commentator, social media influencer, and young person hungry for change, step into this moment with fire, focus, and fearless love. Building community is not someone else's job. It is your job, my job, our collective mandate to choose the non-violent way. Not because it's easy, but because it's the only path that leads to life. Violence, on the other hand, is a system and a mindset that distracts us from justice. Violence destroys the future. Nonviolence builds it. Violence fractures community. Nonviolence restores it. Violence hoards resources. Nonviolence ensures all share in Earth's abundance. And in this moment, when artificial intelligence is reshaping our world, building community is definitely not optional. It is a moral imperative. If we do not strengthen the bonds of our shared humanity, we risk being overtaken by systems with no conscience, no compassion, and no moral memory. AI is rewriting economies and even recreating the voices and images of those like my father who can no longer speak. The question, though, is, will our conscience be stronger than our code? Will our ethics be bolder than our algorithms? Machines can learn patterns, but they cannot learn love. They can process data, but cannot honor or defend the dignity of a single soul. Only we human beings can do that. And if we do not anchor this technological revolution in love and moral vision, it will deepen injustice instead of defeating it. My father warned of the giant triplets of racism, militarism, and extreme materialism. Those triplets have now grown up, and they travel the world through social media, economic policies, weapons of war, and even our technologies. They whisper, protect your tribe, hoard your wealth, fear your neighbor, dehumanize your opponent. But there is another voice today, the voice of nonviolence. It says you can resist injustice without losing your humanity. It says you can confront power without copying cruelty. Nonviolence says you can build a world where technology serves people, not the other way around. So what does Mission Possible 2 require of us in this age of war, fear, rage, and AI? It requires that we reclaim what makes us human, that we refuse to let lies amplified by machines drown out truth born of conscience, that we resist the temptation to retreat into silos or surrender to despair, that we rise above division and choose the courageous work of community building in our families, where children learn that worth is measured not by followers, but by humanity. Building in our neighborhoods where we cross lines of race, class, politics, and faith to listen, learn, and love. And online where we demand that platforms promote justice, transparency, and respect. Mission Possible 2 challenges us to believe that unity is not naive, it is necessary. That nonviolence is not weak, it is warrior work. That even in an age of artificial intelligence, moral intelligence must lead the way. So today, let this be our charge. We will not bow to fear. We will not surrender to hate. We will not outsource our conscience to machines. We will build community. We will unite this nation the nonviolent way, because the soul of humanity, the future of democracy, and the moral direction of our world are at stake. This King holiday, let's not simply honor my father's memory. Let us continue his mission. Let us rise with moral fire so that future generations may say they chose love over apathy. They chose justice over fear. They chose unity over division and community over chaos. They chose nonviolence over non-existence. And because they did, the mission prevailed.
And that is the daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And that was done on last week, on January the 8th. And I'm going to come back in just a moment and talk a little bit about some of the concepts that she pointed out, in just a moment.
Out there, fast-paced and full of challenges. The last thing you need when you have a vehicle accident is more hassle on top of hassle. Wouldn't it be great if you could just go sit down and talk to Mom and Pop? Well, you can. Mom and Pop are alive and well at Auto Beauty Body Shop in Selma. Aaron and Cindy Grimes have owned and operated Auto Beauty Shop for a good while now, and they extend their caring family approach to their customers. Certainly, they have the latest multi-tech equipment and highly trained technicians, and they have an excellent relationship with all the insurance providers. But they have something no other body shop has. They have Aaron and Cindy, the mom and pop of vehicle body repair. A simple approach to discussing the damage, the estimate, and the factory quality repairs. Please drive safe, but if you have an accident, ask your tow truck driver to take your vehicle to Mom and Pop Auto Beauty Body Shop, 2001 Highway 14 East, phone 334-872-2248. There are currently no delays. They can get you in today and start your repairs right away.
We're with Barry Parker and our friends at Reliable Chevrolet and GMC in Selma, serving the area for 80 years. And it's a brand new year, Barry.
That's right, George. It's hard to believe that 2026 is here, but we're ready to kick it off and get it started. So we invite you to come down and see us. You're in the market for a new Chevrolet or GMC. We have got the inventory from trucks, from your small trucks all the way up to the heavy duty. Same thing with your SUVs, whatever you're looking for when it comes to a new Chevrolet or GMC. We invite you to come by and see us.
Of course, when you're talking about new Chevrolets and new GMCs, you've got to be talking about everything from the Trax to the Equinox, right?
That is correct, and all the way up to the Yukons and Tahoes, Suburbans, Yukon XLs. Folks, whatever you're looking for when it comes to a new Chevrolet or GMC, we invite you to come by and see us.
Barry, when you're talking about reliable, you're talking about great service with just about any name brand that needs service. You can do it all except for warranty work on the non-GM brands, right?
That's right. Warranty or recalls we can do on non-GM products, but everything else from oil change, tire rotation, new tires, brake batteries, belts, hoses, transmission, engine, whatever you're driving, we want to do your service work right here. And George, don't forget about the free oil change when you get to that fifth oil change. We want to get to know you and your family. We want you to become part of the Reliable family here at Reliable Chevrolet GMC, located in downtown Selma, 14 Florence Street. Stop by and see us or give us a call at 872-2337 or check us out on our website at reliablegmc.com.
Graves on Broad has GE and Hot Point appliances in the store on the floor. Mattresses by Sealy and Ashley. Gorgeous furniture for every room in your home. And you might not have known, but Graves even has many one-of-a-kind estate pieces. Come check them out. And right now, take advantage of 12-month interest-free financing if you hurry. Miss Margaret and Miss Lisa would be delighted for you to come by. Open 9:30 to 5 Monday through Friday and 10 to 3 Saturday. Graves on Broad. Furniture so nice to come home to. And right now, all living room suits are 20% off.
1490 WHBB. Good morning. On this Thursday morning, January 15th, 2026. And so the message that we just heard, I keyed in on two central themes. And one of them is something that we should all be concerned about and be thoughtful of. And that is the normalization of violence. You know, this is where we are. You know, it's gotten so bad until now, violence has become normalized in many cases. We hear it every day, you know, and every week just about there's some mass shooting or someone is shooting somebody with a gun. You know, I did a terrible story earlier about a 30-some-year-old woman in Birmingham who got in an argument with her sister because her sister accused her of being disrespectful to her mother. And so when she leaves, according to witnesses, and says, well, I'm going to my car to get my gun. And when she comes back, although they haven't, you know, there's always, you know, a vigorous defense is going to say, well, you got to prove it was her. But she allegedly shot into her mother's apartment after a funeral. They were having a wake. Not a wake, but, you know, a repast. After the funeral, she shoots indiscriminately into the mother's apartment and kills her uncle, her great uncle, and wounds her sister. And so they, the investigators, through surveillance video, were able to track her car, track the car, and the car led to her. And when they searched her apartment with a warrant, they found the pants and the hoodie that was seen in the surveillance video. and they found cartridges to a 9mm pistol that matched the bullets that were taken from the scene of the crime, but they haven't found a gun. But that's what I mean. Violence normalized. You mean I get mad with my siblings or my mother after a funeral, allegedly, and decide the best way to win the argument is to shoot indiscriminately into the apartment, and I could just go on and on and on and on with examples of normalized violence, including the protesting of today. Although there were violent protests in the 60s also, but history has shown us that violence, as a rule, does not win. The only way violence wins is if you have the biggest gun, and that's history. History says whoever has the sharpest weapon, the most powerful weapon or army, that's who wins. That's who rules. When Rome conquered the known world at that time, it was because they had the greatest army. When Genghis Khan was dominant in Asia, it was because he had the best weapons. And, and all the way up till now, World War II and the advent of the nuclear weapons that the United States was forced to use in order to end the war. Now, although the United States and Japan are now allies and have put World War II behind us, remember that the Japanese had sworn to fight to the last man and child. And they had prepared for that. And that was why the decision was made. The only way that they could end World War II was with a massive show of force. And quite naturally, it worked. And World War II came to an end. But, January 6, 1941, that January 6 always rings out. But on January 6, 1941, President Theodore Roosevelt delivered a speech that is known as the Four Freedoms speech. The Four Freedoms, the fundamental concept of the Four Freedoms is, he says that people should enjoy, number one, freedom of speech. Number two, freedom of worship. Number three, freedom from want. And number four, freedom from fear. And, it's interesting that all of these principles are under attack today. Freedom of speech is being attacked. People are less tolerant of opposing points of view. They go to great lengths to stop another person's viewpoint. Conservatives right now seem to be the ones most under fire. The court of public opinion is under assault. And the forces of the public relations forces of lobbyists and special interest groups, it's very active in trying to influence the court of public opinion. Fear-mongering. Fear is the main narrative now, it seems, in many of the news organizations. That's what they sell, and that's what they do. Sensationalism and fear, because it may, they think that's the kind of programming that will garner an audience. In some cases, it's true, but in many cases, it's not. And I'm hearing more and more people, even in the media, and myself, say, "Well, I'm getting burnt out from all that negative news." But but is it reaching the ears of the decision makers, of the news directors and general managers in these TV and radio stations and major newspapers, the editors? the question becomes, well, what is their agenda? And if you look and dig a little deeper, you may find if you dig a little deeper into these decision makers and their politics and their party affiliation and gender affiliation and sexual orientation, then you answer the question about what their agenda is. Viewpoint, you're on the air.
Well, Larry, good morning. I guess I gotta do something in my throat. I'm sorry. I didn't intend for the cold to come up at the time that I called. But listening to the address to the nation from Bernice King yesterday, you said it was her niece.
Yeah, mistakenly called her his niece. I was thinking about her niece, his niece. That's why. But yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, but she's changed her tune a bit since I noticed his niece. She was why she isn't hanging her neck around, her arms around Donald Trump the way she used to. But anyway, let's move on. I'm so glad that Bernice is just the two of them remaining now. I'm glad she was able to make that appeal to the nation. That's what we, not only by her father, but our siblings and our parents and just the nature of our community. That's what we were taught, to look out and to do the right thing and to stand strong on doing and standing up and doing the right thing. When I've said many times, my granddaddy said that if an employer should ask you to do something that was unethical or immoral, then that should be your last moment at that particular position. And I try to stand on that. Well, it's kind of like, people don't know, we don't know each other's stories a lot of times. But I thought I had to fight a serious fight while living in Wisconsin. Unfortunately, you've heard this complaining out this speech before. Is it better to live next door to white people, or is it better to just work with white people? And I have come to, you and I had that discussion before, right? I know we had that discussion. I know I've had that discussion with different ones in this community. And I have come to the conclusion it's better to work with them than to live, next door to them. I don't know. I think they were trying to say whether it's in the south or in the north. I think it was talking about a regional thing. But certainly in the north, I know it's best to just work with them and not really.
Well, it depends on where you are. If you have some communities where people force themselves on I don't believe in forcing myself on anybody. That doesn't make sense to me. But far too many people engage in that. But there are also, I know neighborhoods and people in interracial neighborhoods and neighborhoods where Black and whites are living together, and they're perfect neighbors. And ironically, most of those neighborhoods are in the South.
Yeah, well, anyway, you and I might differ on that, and I just don't know. We got some issues that Bernice is prescribing. She's prescribed that we work within our communities because all of our answers are not the right answers. But I certainly don't know that we have accepted the right answers from the people who have been in leadership in the past. So I think they need to probably get some new ideas. Really, I'm so glad that I didn't choose to become radicalized, because I know that would have been a short life. I think God gave me this longer life because I chose to walk away from many of those racial tension issues. And it's unfortunate because I don't think I brought the animosity. I think the animosity came from the people. Okay. Well, I can tell you one incident, and I don't think I told the people in Selma that yet. But I went to talk to one of my neighbors, to let her know that my son was integrating with the neighbors who were vicious and attacking my family. And she said she knew what they were doing, but she wasn't going to do anything about it. So the thing about it, that made me not continue the relationship that I had with her, because then you can't trust her. And we see that so often in our experiences with white women or white people. They just don't seem to, and maybe this will help somebody understand, or maybe we can get some more dialogue. But maybe this is a start. I hope it is. So we can't trust you because you're under connivance and you join in with your husbands who always have some negative ulterior motive. So we've suffered the torment. We listen to the stories of women who lived in Selma, whose husbands have had to leave because white men have come in. And those are things that we have had to live with in our community. Now they're able to send black men in to abuse.
Well, you know, my thing is, you wouldn't have to, an African American wouldn't have to worry about being fired if they own their own business. You know, that's the first solution, being independent. You know, because a man has to feed his family too. You know, there's a lot of this, all you know, and I can think of too many examples of Caucasians, of white people who have struggled right along in the freedom movement with blacks. So it's no black people don't have the exclusive copyright on being freedom fighters.
You all need to, and I would invite.
That's a fact.
Look at some of the YouTube channels are talking about historical and how.
Yeah, but all those YouTube channels historically accurate. Social media, you got to better double check your facts.
You think the Tulsa, Oklahoma, and
Tulsa happened, no doubt. The Black Wall Street, that happened.
But I'm just saying. So it's
So what do? Do I stay there? Do I dwell on that and say, "Oh me, I can't get anything done because of what happened 100 years ago"?
You don't have to make people cognizant of what's continuing to go on. That's why Bernice's speech is so important.
No, her speech was important. She said two central things: anti-violence, non-violence, and she talked about artificial intelligence, the rise of the machine, technology. So what do you do with that?
Hey, well, man, our time has come. And either we're going to get on the right side and do the right thing, or we're going to be on the wrong side and continue as the world is traveling at this point. And it's up to us. This is our time. This was our parents.
So how do you feel about the people who are protesting against ICE? You think they're doing the right thing by violently by throwing water bottles the water has become so hard like ice, they're like bricks. You think that's right, huh?
Randy, I don't blame those people for not being related to.
You say you don't blame them. Okay. See, so that means you buy into the violence.
No, I'm not buying into violence. You know that. You don't.
I asked the question and you gave the answer.
Listen, I don't. They're not violent. They're not violent.
What do you mean they're not violent? What are you watching?
Listen, Randy, those ICE people were trained.
Yeah, and when it's raining, the sun is shining.
Were trained in those communities.
Yeah, the activists of the civil rights movement were trained on how to do and operate non-violently. These people are not non-violent, and anybody with common sense can see that.
Randy, you're on the wrong side of history.
Well, so be it. I'm not trying to be on the left or the right or the wrong or the right side of history. I just want to do the right thing. I'm trying to please God. I'm not worried about the rest of it.
We had whistles and they had guns. But see, ICE people are trained. Those were the malicious people. Those were the people who were running up north.
And where are the African Americans in this protest in Minneapolis? Where are they? Hello? I'm watching. I saw one black person. I think he was Somalian. Well, it's too bad. I'm on the wrong side. That's fine. I don't care. I'm not a people pleaser. The truth doesn't always please folk. Misinformation doesn't please folk. Well, thank you. I consider that a compliment. Thank you for calling. Viewpoint, you're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning. Here's the other one. How are you?
No, I'm not the other one.
You're the other one.
I'll answer that question for you. Well, the black people, well, after this past election, if you look at YouTube, TikTok, anything, black people will tell you, we're not going out there anymore. You didn't have our backs in, we got some backs.
That's not what they're saying in Chicago.
No, Randy, that's what I would say. Black people say, we're not going out there to hang out and make out for you no more. When we need help, you don't come around. But now that Trump is profiling, racially profiling all these Hispanics, no, we ain't gonna come and help you because you didn't have our backs. We told the world was gonna happen. That is the truth. That's why you don't see too many of them out there no more. Tired of hanging your necks out for.
Or is it that the same folks that say they're so racially conscious, they're so prejudiced, they can't even bring themselves to pay black people to protest like the others? That's just food for thought. That's all.
Situation there, man. Randy, let me ask you a question. You talking about the people out there being violent, and yes, there are some protesters out there being violent, but most of them are not. ICE being violent toward the citizens.
ICE is doing their job. They're law enforcement, and if you choose to confront law enforcement, you already know they're armed. That's the first nonsensical thing. You already know they're armed, and that they have a license to do what they do. Plus, you're talking about they're trying to get people. They're trying to get folks to murderers and rapists and who knows what else. Out of the country who are here illegally. What about that? And I understand that because you're so anti-Trump until you try to find anything you can to discredit our president.
How can you really just believe that lie?
Because you say it every time you call. That's how.
You haven't really checked in, right?
Say that again.
People that have 70% of the people that actually have arrested have no criminal record.
How do you know that? What about the 10 million people that got in this country illegally? Where are they? Where are the 10 million that are here illegally? Where are they?
Man, go and look at.
Where are the 10 million who are illegal in this country?
Go look at HHS website and they'll show you the breakdown of who they are arrested.
That's not my question. My question was, where are the approximate 10 million people that came across our southern borders illegally? Where are they?
Let me ask you a question.
You didn't answer mine.
Let me ask you a question. If you are going down the street and somebody gets to run up to you with masks on and no ID and tell you, give me your papers, and if you talking about this and that and all. I'm
going to show them my papers, and if I don't have them, I got a problem. And I don't blame them for covering their faces because you got all these drug cartels who have targeted many of those agents with contracts, murder contracts. What are you talking about? That's what I mean. That doesn't make, that's common sense. That all those arguments and narratives are about one thing: let's win the election.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think it's all right to racially profile Hispanics?
Well, again, it depends on where you are and what the circumstances are, Well, no, look, no, wait. You asked me the question. Let me answer it. If I know that millions of Hispanic people have come into the United States illegally recently, and let me answer the question. Let me answer you can't handle the truth. That's just the bottom line. Look, I got to get ready to take a break. Let me let you make your closing remark. And you won't let me answer it. Look, I'm telling you, make your closing remark. I got to go. Thank you. Thank you for calling. We'll be back with more after these messages.
Banking the way it should be at First Commonwealth Bank means you never have to worry about the season or the weather with online banking. It's always there and always on.
24/7, 365, even on holidays.
I'm Richard Walters, president of First Cahaba Bank, here to let you know that all of our online banking resources have been invaluable to our First Cahaba customers. Although our lobbies are open, personal and business customers have discovered how convenient and easy it has become to manage financial resources without having to come inside the bank. And all of our online services, including mobile banking app, are free. Visit firstcahaba.com to get all of the information, or feel free to call any of our locations in Selma, Troy, or Gulf Shores for any questions or information. Banking the way it should be at First Cahaba Bank means we are constantly focused on the very latest technology for customer convenience and overall satisfaction. We would love for you to join our growing community bank family. First Cahaba Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Dr. Ralph Redd and the staff of Alabama Vascular Specialists are proud to announce they are now operating at their new Selma location on Thursdays. Alabama Vascular Specialists continues to grow and is now at 2117 Broad Street in the former Lightfoot Chiropractic office across from Selma High School. This newly renovated location, Alabama Vascular Specialists, will enable Dr. Redd, Dr. White Giddens, Dr. Tan, along with their entire staff, to better serve the patients of Central and West Alabama. If you or someone you love suffers from poor circulation in your legs, from symptoms of PAD, peripheral artery disease, you should contact Alabama Vascular Specialists as soon as possible. No physician referral required. Telephone number 334-801-9952 or alabamavascularspecialist.com. Growing to better serve those in need of vascular treatment and surgery.
1490 WHBB Viewpoint, you're on the air.
Good morning, Andy.
Yes, sir. How are you this morning?
How about you?
I'm fine. I'm doing fine. What's on your mind?
You know, right here, it's been a while back, I told you about you can't trust Democrats.
Yes, sir.
You last time about it, I had proved one point. You can't get word in edgewise. You don't want to answer the question, and you always got a dang on excuse for something. So what about that? Well, what about Jill Biden? He's gonna bring her up and charge you by her for spouses, he said. He put him out there by here for 4 years, knowing good well he's dying of cancer. And now she's benefiting off of it. Now they don't want to have nothing to do with it. That's a lot for you, wasn't it?
Well, I'm looking also, as much as I like Bill Clinton, but as much as I like the Clintons, and remember, the Democrats have been, for the last several months, they've been heaping and demanding all these records and files be made available on Epstein. And now it's coming out, it's not the Republicans that have the problem, that were in league with Epstein. It was predominantly Democrat. And the Clintons have refused to, they're not going to testify. They may be held in contempt of Congress because they refuse to testify about Epstein. So after all this noise that's being, aimed at conservatives and Republicans, it's the other way around.
It's the only thing is Democrats. Joe Biden put the old man out there by here to show by here for 4 years. Knowing good well he got stage 4 cancer. He's dying of it. And now he's we just don't care.
Well, that's the nature of the beast. I got to get ready I got to take another call and make this last break. But you want to make a closing remark?
Yeah, have a good day, Randy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for calling Viewpoint. You're on the air.
Randy.
Hey, what's going on?
Good morning, man. Look, can I please find get some of those bills you listen to some of that this morning. I need one too. How in the world can you say they're nonviolent? I mean, when
violence. If you hit me, grab me, that's violence. That's not nonviolence.
How about the profanity? What about the profanity? Get the F out of my city from the mayor.
Well, that's just showing they've got no class. I mean, when you've got to reduce yourself to use foul language, you're not smart enough to debate. You use the English language to debate and get your ideas across. Now, I get tongue-tied sometimes and can't remember words like I used to, but these people have no class whatsoever. They've got no manners. My mama, if I did that, Randy, I wouldn't need a bill. My mama would have raised pop knots all over.
Yeah, I know that's right. And mine's too. Like you said, it's a class. No, people don't want to talk about discretion in class anymore. This anything goes now.
You know, they're talking about how bad the ICE agents are. These are government officials that, you know, they're doing a job. Every one of these 10 million that came across the border illegally, they've broken the law. So what are they? They're not citizens. You know, they talk about citizens. It just amazes me. They let all these people cross the border for one reason, and that's the 5 votes. And that's the whole reason. It's about power. It's not money, it's power. Power is worth more than money. And you know, you've got so many topics this morning. Let's talk about Bill Clinton. You said you liked him. I at one time liked him, but he was an adulterer his entire life. And because of that, excuse me, I can't like anything he does. I mean, but his wife's just as bad as he is. And you know, if you're not going to treat your wife right, when you take the vows that you made before God and you want to break those, anything you tell me, I'm not going to believe anyway, because it's most likely not going to be true, or you're going to break whatever covenant you made with me. So most of these politicians, Republican and Democrat, we need to get rid of them. We need to start over new. There needs to be term limits. We know, the American people know what we need. I don't think we know how to get there. And the white people not protesting, maybe they're smarter than these idiots up there. Maybe that's the reason I'm out there in that cold weather doing all this.
Well, you know what, too? I'm going to tell you something, too. A lot of the black people I know that moved to Minneapolis and the Twins, they went to take advantage of opportunities and to make money and to provide for their families, not to get involved in social unrest. That's wrong. It's illegal in the first place. And then if we study close enough, the people who are out there protesting, it's coming out every day, they're being paid.
Oh, yeah. But 80% of the Somali refugees that have been here over 10 years are still on welfare. We're giving them welfare, and we've got veterans living on the street. It's not right. It's not fair. It's a misuse of our money. It's a misuse of our compassion for people. We've got people in this country that we need to help. And we've got people just abusing the system because they don't want to get off the tail and go to work. And, you know, I started work when I was 12 years old, got paid $10 a week, thought I was rich.
That sounds familiar. I started about the same time.
To go, buddy, look, I'm going to drop by in a few minutes to get that bill. Just put it.
Thank you. Thank you for calling. Let's take this last quick break, and I'll be back, and we'll close out right after this message.
Preparing your vehicle to showroom condition demands cutting-edge technology. That's what you get at the all-new George's Paint and Body Shop in Selma. After tornado damage total reconstruction, George's has the latest advanced technology, especially designed for today's multi-tech vehicles. The Bosch calibration system restores safety features like lane departure and collision sensors. The two new chief frame machines and computer laser measuring system delivers pinpoint accuracy down to the millimeter. And the two new downdraft
freedom
paint
of
booth
speech.
units provide perfect quality refinishing. And with the reconstruction comes a much larger facility designed for an increased capacity and quicker turnaround time. George's deals directly with your insurance company, but they work for you. Call to schedule your estimate and repairs today. See the pros, Eric and Scooter Hoggin at George's Paint and Body Shop, 1215 J.L. Chestnut Jr. Boulevard, or call 334-872-1441. The new George's Paint and Body Shop has reopened in Selma.
Freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom from want or freedom from hunger, and freedom from fear. You have yourself a safe and enjoyable day. I'll see you tomorrow morning, the good Lord willing. Stay tuned for Fox News coming up next on WHBB Selma. It's 9 o'clock.
A warning from the White House. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. After another night of protests in Minneapolis and clashes with police, and people have been angry over an